Hello, welcome to HBM's Crypto-Corner for Wednesday, February 14th, St. Valentine's Day, 2024. We have quite a few things to talk about, so let's get started. Here's a recent interview with Dr. Jeff Meldrum. As you can see, that's, of course, Dr. Meldrum. He covers quite a plethora of topics. Covers the footprints, primate morphology, as relates to Sasquatch. You can see Paranthropus boisei may be favorably compared to the Patterson-Gimlin film subject. It's interesting, even though Meldrum has been in the Gigantopithecus camp, he's starting to come around to the possibility that Patty may be Paranthropus rather than Gigantopithecus. Also, you see the mid-tarsal break here, midfoot flexibility. What appears to be a half track, although I think this may be the heel right here. And this is the forepart of the foot. Comparison of Patty to gorillas. Gorillas also have midfoot flexibility. It's a really good article. I recommend checking it out. Of course, the link will be below in the description. So you guys check it out. This is an older article, but Lauren Coleman wants us to cleanse the Bigfoot database, cast out the hourglass casts. Here's one of them, which was apparently, this photo was apparently taken by Peter Byrne in 1960. Lauren thinks that the hourglass type footprint casts, the footprints, were made by Ray Wallace. And there appears to be a bit of a match here. This is one of the Wallace stompers. This is from the Patterson-Gimlin film. Really, there's no match here. Now, Lauren thinks that the Jerry Crew casts are actually not Wallace fakes. But I've seen a photograph of what appears to be a stomper, which appears to be in the shape of the Wallace track, the Wallace cast. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean it was made in imitation of the Jerry Crew cast? Or is Jerry Crew cast a Jerry Crew footprint merely a wooden stomper fake? Now, we don't know that for sure. This is one from Bob Titmus, apparently, 1959. Now, the interesting thing about the Jerry Crew footprint is it was found more than once in the area. There was a cast and a footprint. There was a footprint found, two footprints found by Pat Graves in 1963 and cast by Roger Patterson. But that's not what Lauren is talking about. Lauren is talking about the hourglass footprints. or particularly the ones at Blue Creek Mountain. Those may be hoaxes as well, even though there were a lot of them. And you may wonder, well, how were they done in the dark? Very easily. They were done with, obviously, they had to have light in order to be able to see. I would highly recommend, if you haven't done so already, reading Dustin Seaver's book, Abominable Snowman of California. It may change your mind about the footprints, but the Ray Wallace footprints. But hey, if you want to believe that those are real, actual Sasquatch footprints, have at it. Don't let me stop you. But I think some of the more well-known footprints from the 1958 era are most likely hoaxes. Now, does that include the Jerry Crew cast? We really don't know. We can't say for sure. But it's entirely possible. I don't write it off just because I may want them to be so badly to be real. Still, it's something to think about. Extinct ape's inner ear holds clues to how humans learn to walk upright. New 3D scans of a 6 billion-year-old Lufgenopithecus skull fossil clarify a potential evolutionary step towards bipedal locomotion. Artists' reconstruction of the locomotor behavior and paleo environment of the Lufgenopithecus. This extinct primate lived in East Asia during the Miocene. Tracing how some primates went from getting around on all fours to walking around on two legs has been difficult. The fossil record hasn't always presented a clear evolutionary history of bipedalism. These days, our species primarily walks upright on two legs. But primates can also climb up trees using arms and legs to propel the body. Some primates, like great apes, typically walk using all four limbs, and smaller monkeys gracefully swing among tree branches. Scientists are now beginning to see more clearly how humans developed our bipedal walking ability by studying the inner ears of the extinct primate Lufgenopithecus, likely an evolutionary stepping stone. A team of scientists used three-dimensional CT scans of a 6 billion-year-old fossilized Lufgenopithecus skull's bony inner ear and found a structure that looks similar to some of today's bipedal mammals. This inner ear area likely played a role in bipedal evolution. The findings are described in a study published January 29th in the Journal of Innovation. So it's entirely possible that this extinct ape holds a clue to how we developed our ability to walk upright. Pretty interesting. And again, this article would be below for you guys to check out. New Zealand mysteries. Does Aotearoa have its very own Bigfoot living in the Coromandel bush?
Various names for them. One of them is the Rapawai, there's the Maro, and more commonly known, the Mohoe Man. Well, I spent about 20 years in the United States, and part of that time was with the paranormal team, various teams over there. So we went to, supposed haunted locations and tried to help people out and sort of investigate what was going on. Of course, we tried to use a very skeptical mind as well. We looked for rational reasons and deduct anything that is, logical. Now, if you study into Bigfoot behavior, one of the things people hear is like a wood knock kind of sound, almost like someone swinging a baseball bat into a tree. So I've gotten quite a bit of that, or having stones thrown at you is another thing. Even the Maori reported that as well. Well, this is one of the what appears to be a footprint, ball of the print here in the toe region. You can see that the arch. I found small ones, I found large ones.
Wait a minute, did he say an arch? Yes, he did say an arch. Sasquatch type creatures and hairy bipeds are not known to have an arch. Humans are known to have an arch. So most likely this is a human footprint cast. Look how small it is compared to some of these large Sasquatch footprints. That's a man-sized foot. Probably most likely a barefoot human, a barefoot man.
What I do is I take casting material, I pour it. Hopefully I'll find it in like mud. Basically, I'm looking around creek beds where it's easy to find prints. Some who've climbed up Mount Mohoy, and they heard a howl at around 2 a.m. and they were terrified. They fled the mountain in the middle of the night, and they didn't want to even talk about experience. They were having a hard time. So whether you're a skeptic or not, it only really depends on if you go into those kinds of areas where the sightings are.
Well, my only thing is, if you're going into those areas, I believe humans could go into those areas as well. I believe this is supposed to be a sketch of the alleged creature. The Great Hairy Moahow. Like I said, uh, hairy bipeds don't have an arch in their feet. Your hairy bipeds, they may have a metatarsal break, but they don't have an arch. So I'm starting to think this is most likely a human footprint. Although if the Moahow is more human-like than primate-like or ape-like, maybe that makes sense. But I don't know. I imagine if you showed this footprint cast to Dr. Meldrum, he'd probably pronounce it a human and say, well, that's from a human. That's not from any mysterious hairy biped. So most likely it's probably a human cast, a human footprint. Now here's something interesting. Japanese wolf perhaps not extinct, but proof remains elusive. The Chichibu wild dog that Hiroshi Yagi photographed in October 1996 in the Chichibu region of Saitama Prefecture. Omachi, Nagano Prefecture. The Japanese wolf, a species thought to have gone extinct more than a century ago, may still roam the rugged mountain terrain of central Japan, but finding solid proof remains elusive despite a string of sightings. Hiroshi Yagi, who heads a nonprofit organization dedicated to proving Japanese wolves still exist, believes he will one day be able to prove his hunch. While giving address about his work in mid-November at the famed Omachi Alpine Museum here, multiple participants came forward with stories of having come across creatures they believed to be Japanese wolves. The event was held to coincide with a special exhibition about the city and the animals that used to inhabit the area. The last known sighting of a Japanese wolf, one kept in captivity in Nara Prefecture, was in 1995. Oh, excuse me, 1905. My mistake. I need better reading glasses. The exhibition, featuring stuffed specimens of a Japanese crested ibis and a river otter, as well as the skull of a Japanese wolf, will wind up on January 28th. The Alpine Museum is the only one of its kind in Japan. During Yagi's speech, multiple participants reported sightings of animals that appear to be Japanese wolves. Huh. That's pretty fascinating. If indeed we are talking about actual Japanese wolves being spotted. So you could say it's just a case of species that are supposedly declared extinct, but they may not be as extinct as you may believe, as was once believed. Very interesting. The Big Blue Man and other anomalous Bigfoot individuals. By far the most popular and well-known cryptid is Bigfoot, also known as the Sasquatch and many other regional names. These creatures have been spotted in many places all over the world and generally have a very similar appearance. Human-like with ape features, tall, muscular, with dark brown to black hair covering their bodies. However, it seems that this is not always the case, and that there is some variation or even other species of this popular image of Bigfoot. Here we will look at some of the stranger types of Bigfoot that have been seen in the wilds, proving to be even odder than their brethren. One curious account comes to us from the Ozarks, a vast mountainous region spanning Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and the southeastern tip of Kansas, that is full of legends and strange mysteries. The story begins in the winter of 1865, when a veteran owner named Sol Collins went deer hunting in a place called Spring Creek and came across bear-like footprints. Collins was highly knowledgeable about bear tracks, but this one was unlike anything he had seen before. The footprints weren't just large, they were oddly shaped and had strange markings along them that looked like they were made by large claws. The footprints aroused the hunter's curiosity. A light snow had fallen the night before, making it easy for Collins, a veteran tracker, to follow the tracks. The footprints snaked through the wilderness until they reached the northern slopes of Upper Twin Mountain. It is here that Collins learns that these are not the footprints of a bear, but something much stranger. As Collins followed the footsteps up the slope, he heard a noise from above. Two more boulders rolled down the slope, and as he struggled to avoid them, he briefly caught a glimpse of a giant figure. The creature was completely covered in short, curly black hair that took on an odd, deep, dark blue color when exposed to direct sunlight. Collins described the creature as huge, no less than 3 meters, 10 feet tall, and covered in thick muscle. The beast apparently carried a large club, which it swung in the air before setting the weapon aside and picking up another rock and throwing it at the frightened hunter. Collins ran away from there as fast as he could, and as soon as he returned to town, he gathered other hunters and went in search of the creature. For several days, Collins and his group tracked the Big Blue Man, who was said to have been seen several times, and found sheepskins, pigskins, parts of dog skins, and many bones, feathers, and other items from the past, possibly killed by the beast. They even found a burrow filled with the remains of a feast, but were unable to capture or shoot whatever it was that had caused this mayhem. So we have the Big Blue Man. We have others, I guess. You have the Big Blue Man of Spring Creek. Something called the Moss Man. It's like it's Swamp Thing. Check it out, it's Swamp Thing. And Bigfoot, they're purely white in color. Pennsylvania white Bigfoot. So it's a rather lengthy article about different Sasquatch type creatures. Pretty interesting stuff. And finally, here's an article by the late Dr. John Bindernagel, The Sasquatch, an unwelcome and premature zoological discovery. Abstract, over 3,000 North American reports of a large, hair-covered bipedal animal resembling an upright gorilla have been recorded and reviewed. More importantly, over 100 different tracks attributed to such an animal have been cast and archived. At the same time, wildlife biologists and other zoologists continue to ignore this evidence and to reject papers on the subject submitted for presentation at professional conferences. This attitude of dismissal results from the ridicule and discredit heaped on the subject in the popular media, coupled with the perceived unlikelihood of a large non-human primate occurring in North America. The discovery of the Sasquatch may be premature in at least three ways. The animal resembles a bipedal ape, an anomaly in a mammal group that is perceived to be exclusively quadrupedal. Its tracks resemble large versions of human tracks, and it occurs on the North American continent where no other non-human primates are known to occur. The possibility of such an animal existing anywhere, but especially in North America, apparently appears so preposterous as to be an affront to scientists. Nevertheless, the hypothesis that the Sasquatch is an upright North American great ape remains the best explanation of the available evidence. I'm not going to read the entire article. I'm not even going to read little parts of it. But it's a good article. I recommend checking it out. And of course, check out Bindernagel's two books if you can find them. North America's Great Ape, the Sasquatch, and The Discovery of the Sasquatch. Both absolutely excellent. And that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, and I always mean it. And I'll continue to do this as long as you guys want me to. For 9 years now, I've been doing this. And I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And I know I'm going to continue to enjoy doing it in the near future. So until next week, y'all be good or be good at this. May-HBM's Cryptid-Corner.